Smasho here, coming at you with the daily space weather. From the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, and we've got our custom Helio viewer movies back. We've got some filament eruptions happening. We've been naming filaments, and this one in particular was known as the AOC filament right here, and whoops, it's on its way out. It is headed out through the greater solar system. We'll tell you a little bit about its trajectory a little bit later in the video. That's the last 24 hours from SDO. In the house favorite wavelength, that's 171 angstroms. Showing the lower corona, ionized iron. Next, looking at sunspots. We've got a new sunspot down here. It'll be known as 3153, I believe. There's yesterday plus today in the colorized magnetogram. We've seen a minor uptick here in solar activity of the past 24, but the most interesting thing is the uptick in Mauna Loa. By the way, if you haven't checked out our links, visit smashomash.com, smashomash.com. You can find all of our social media links there. Hit us up on Patreon, perhaps. Hit us up on our Discord chat. There's a permanent invite link to our Discord chat there. If you want to send an instant message, use Discord. We'll be using it in the future to create live stream interactive videos where we have call-ins and so forth. You can also find links to Hemp, Lucid, SureMed, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter account, create a Twitter account. It's pretty hot these days. And if you think free speech is fixed, it's certainly not fixed. We've got over 17,000. We're pushing 18,000 tweets. And we've got 336 followers. Citing facts is so controversial. You can also find links to our Hemp Lucid shop, so check that out if you haven't. They make great gifts. You can buy lip balm, mushroom products, CBD products, body balm, even CBDs for your pets. Available via our link. You can find it below the video as well as on the homepage at smashomash.com. Also on the Smash Team page, smashomash.com/Smash Team. All kinds of ways to save. Again, the Hemp Lucid products make great gifts for the holidays. And by the way, we're going to recommend 2 pineapples. Yes, congratulations to 2 pineapples for reaching 10,000 subscribers. This video live streamed yesterday had 56,000 views. So some splentacular imagery there of Mauna Loa erupting. And of course, they're actually streaming live at the moment. So go over there, give 2 pineapples a shout out, tell them Smash-O-Mash sent you. And there is some real-time imagery of Mauna Loa, yes. Exciting stuff there. Earth's largest active volcano back to an eruptive state. There's some imagery from the GOES interactive weather satellite. You can see those hot spots there. As magma becomes lava. And here's a volcano rundown. If you're wondering what else is erupting today on November 30th, so are we. So it includes Semaru, producing a 14,000-foot ash plume, to Kono, 10,000-foot ash plume. That's flight level 100. So we've got 2 advancing fissures there, Fissure 3 and Fissure 4. Some lava flows advancing to the north and northeast. The largest and most voluminous lava flow is emerging from Fissure 3, which already crossed the Mauna Loa Weather Observatory Road at 8 p.m. local time yesterday. Some significant lava fountaining happened as well. Fuego in Guatemala exploding, flight level 150. Sangay in Ecuador exploding, flight level 210. Revenador exploding, flight level 150. And Sabancaya were not able to detect. Please don't pole vault the caldera. Here is seismicity for the past 90 days. Checking earthquakes. Yes, earthquakes. There's the convenient bar graph, also from volcanodiscovery.com. And let's see what's been shaken. Interestingly, there was a large quake in central Canada here. That one was actually a 5.3 there. Not the most common place for a quake there. Let's do a rundown here. Tonga had a 5.0 yesterday. Also the Kermadec Islands region, so quite a bit of activity there in the North Island of New Zealand and north of there. The Reykjanes Ridge kicking back up with a 5.3 magnitude quake there in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge region. Only 3 minutes later, a 5.0 at Japan. And then only a few minutes later, a 5.1 at the Reykjanes Ridge. Of course, a bunch of quakes in Hawaii. No real surprise there, as the world's largest active volcano erupts. Fiji had a 5.0. Reykjanes Ridge had a 5.5. And there's that Peace River, Canada. Peace River, Canada quake at a 5.3 magnitude there. That came in at 0 dark 55 this morning on November 30th. Also a Pacific Antarctic Ridge quake at a 5.2 magnitude. There is the rest of the list for the past 24. A 5.0 at Japan. A 5.4 at New Zealand. Well, let's get back to space. So here you're going to see the AOC filament erupt right up here. Watch that area, and there it goes. A very slow eruption. Part of it looks like it probably splashed back down toward the chromosphere. Very scenic eruption happening there. So it really took its time. Probably about 10 hours for that filament reorganization to complete itself. And we'll talk about CMEs later in the video. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux at 108 solar flux units as it stagnates just below 110. Seeing a flattening out of solar activity here over the past several months. And let's take a look at Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. Expecting some geomagnetic storm conditions late in the day tomorrow on December 1st. Coronal hole high-speed wind continues. We saw it reach nearly 700 kilometers per second. In fact, I think it actually did get over 700 kilometers per second for a brief moment. And let's take a look at Earth's magnetic moment from space before we get into the real-time solar wind information. This is the last 4 hours. Once again, a high-speed coronal hole wind stream continues to interact with Earth's magnetosphere. Here's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And we expect to see some great auroral imagery once again on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter, if only for that purpose. As we do a lot of shares of things like auroral imagery. So again, that's the last 4 hours, Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. A little increase in the likelihood of aurorae there in the past couple of hours. KP index here at only 2.67. KP 2.67 is a geomagnetically calm condition. We did see a brief period of geomagnetic unrest yesterday at KP 4.67. Moving to the real-time solar wind. Again, we saw quite high solar wind speeds there at over 700 kilometers per second. I don't remember the last time we saw solar wind speed above 700 kilometers per second, but there you go. There's a reading of 707 by the ACE. Current conditions are about 600 kilometers per second for the solar wind velocity. Solar wind density, 12.35 protons per cubic centimeter. And let's look at magnetic data next. Seeing a little bit higher lows and higher highs here over the past day and a half. There's a 7-day chart to put that in context. And there is a South Pole current sheet headed this way. This is the heliospheric current sheet. And you can see that South Pole current sheet showing there in red. Going to arrive at stereo A later in the day today. Next, we'll look at the line of sight field plot. This depicts the solar B field in blue. That's the field that goes through a magnet, the B field. Solar north polar field in green, south solar polar field in red. Which brings us to coronal holes, which is, by the way, the source of the high-speed wind. We've got North Pole coronal holes here providing that high-speed coronal hole wind stream, as that is a well-defined trans-equatorial coronal hole, meaning it crosses the solar equator. We've got a South Pole-oriented system here rotating in the northeast. Let's take a look at that for the last 24 hours in 211 angstroms. And once again, just so you are aware, this is North Pole. This one coming up here, which will become more defined in a couple days, that is South Pole. Great view of the AOC filamentary eruption / collapse also. Another good wavelength there, 211 angstroms. And we're about to get to sunspots. But first, today's featured product. You'll find links below the video to our merch, so click those. They make great gifts. There's still plenty of time to get some of our merch to your favorite friends and foes for Christmas. They are in order of best selling. Whether or not they're controversial is up to you. And today's featured product is Galactic current sheet. Oh, knows the Galactic current sheet, folks. Oh, there's a galaxy out there. Everything that's big is spooky. Big spooky things are gonna kill you. So why not cuddle up for the apocalypse under one of our Galactic current sheet blankets? I know it's not technically sheets, but you can get a tapestry. You can get a comforter. What about a comforter with a duvet cover? Have a Galactic current sheet within a Galactic current sheet. Oh, double layers are spooky. How about a shower curtain? You want to shower behind the Galactic current sheet? Oh my God. Dear God, the Galactic current sheet. It's going to kill you. Of course, it's a fictional thing, the Galactic current sheet. But hey, why not bring in the apocalypse in style? If you think the world's going to end, wouldn't you like to warm up under a nice Galactic current sheet? Ooh, look how spooky it looks. It's so spooky. Oh my God. And let's get in to sunspots. So we do have a new group again down here in the south. It's Sunspot 3153 will be the name of that sunspot group. And let's take a look at some additional imagery here from SDO. There's the magnetogram plus 335 angstroms to brighten things up. Here's a closer zoom in. And how about 335 plus SDO continuum? And how about if we subtract 335 angstroms? I don't know why Sunspot 3153 not visible down here. For some reason, not showing up. I don't get it. It looks like we have a new group actually forming behind 3152 also. Check it out. You see right back here. A new sunspot group forms there, so that might be 3153, might be 3154, but it looks like we'll have at least two additional named groups in the next day. Continuing on to our energetic particles, we ain't got none. We saw a tiny little increase in the proton flux there, barely even showing up as a blip. Let's talk flaring next. We've seen a little increase in the X-ray background, so that's perhaps a forecast for upticks in the solar sunspot number and so forth. This little long duration CClass Flare happened back here. And let's take a look at some of that in 131 angstroms. That C-class event came from this setting region down here in the southwest, I believe. And here's 94 angstroms. It looks like we've got at least one active region rising in the southeast. And let's talk about what's going on overhead. Mars is setting over the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, where we are located. If you want to make your own star chart, it's in-the-sky.org that we're using here. And Deneb has just risen in the north-northeast. Next, a solar system forecast. Keep in mind this diagram is not to scale. Here's where things will be in a week. Looks like full moon will fall on the 7th. Seventh, 8th, something like that. Anyway, that's where things will be in a week in the solar system. And let's take a look at Coronagraph, since we did have some CME activity. That is the AOC filament there. See that ejection out of the southeast? That's the AOC filament headed out into the greater solar system. Anyway, that's yesterday's imagery. Here's today's imagery. And let's take a look at the view from stereo A at Lagrange 5 and Soho Lasco C3 at Lagrange 1. We've also got some additional custom videos. And speaking of which, I think I failed to put one up. And now I think I've pressed F12. Oh my God, I've pressed F12. Holy, oh dear God. Oh, noes. All right, anyway. All right. So at stereo A, it's pretty obvious here that we don't have any Earth-directed CMEs once again. In fact, interestingly enough, it looks like that AOC filament never even made it out of the corona, because the CME we're seeing here from the southeast is actually on the far side of the sun. Nothing anywhere near the Earth-facing vicinity, which would be off in this direction from stereo A's perspective for all you new viewers out there. So just another light show happening there. Nothing earthly directed. Here's the last 24 hours in Composite. It looks like the AOC filament failed to launch. It just dissipated into the corona and or chromosphere. Certainly looked like a CME, but it looks like it was not indeed a CME. Unless it somehow made it around to the far side of the sun, which I guess is a possibility. So here's a little zoomed out version of the same imagery. It might have been a minor CME that happened there from the AOC filament collapse, but it mostly just collapsed. Like the credibility of so many public officials in the past 3 years. Next, going to filaments. And let's bring up the newest. So there you can see the AOC filament going away. The Schumer filament remains intact. There's the Schumer filament over there. And if anybody's got names for these filaments in the Northern Hemisphere, let us know in the comments what you think they should be called. Also, I think the Bagashov filament is finally making its way over the... There it is. The Eugene Bagashov filament. It's been shy, but now it's finally starting to make its way over the northeastern limb. Let us know in the comments if you think the Eugene Bagashov filament will destroy all civilization and kill all humans. Next, to last about 2.5 hours from the GOES 16 SUVI. 304 angstroms wavelength with its great wide field of view. A little prominence happening down here in the south. We'll be keeping an eye on it. And when I say ion, oh, well, pardon the pun. Next, Satellites Enthusiast's dashboard, the Satellites Community Dashboard. Some minor charging hazards there in the Central Pacific, nothing to write home about, no likely major errors from that. Electron Flux has been toying with warning levels here. It's the last 3 days from the GOES 16 and GOES 17's radiological measurements from their geosynchronous orbits. And there's the forecast model. NOAA expecting an increase in electron flux, so we expect some warnings to be coming out about that. There's the 1-year chart to put it in context from Solon.info, and let's take a look at the F layer of the ionosphere, which is full. Don't have fear about the ionosphere, although it is full of low-frequency anomalies. So we'll show you the raw data as well as the anomalygram. There is the vibrational frequency by itself at the bridge between Earth and space. Major low-frequency anomalies happening here at the moment as we get closer and closer to the solstice. Yes, the exciting December solstice. The darkest time of the year for the Northern Hemisphere. And here's the anomalygram. That's anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. Check out those long-lasting low-frequency anomalies there, especially around the South Atlantic, South Pacific, and South America. Big-time low-frequency anomalies there. That is anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. We'll let it play through one more time. And here's the latest image. That's 11:45 Universal Time ionogram, 11:45 Universal Time anomalygram. We'll also show the total electron content. It is the electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset. That satellite's located about 12,500 miles of altitude at the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt. And there's the latest image from Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. Here's the Space Weather Prediction Center's total electron content animation. Actually seeing some pretty low total electron contents, although a little bit more organized here, so not quite as many anomalies over North America as we've been seeing. And this is standard fare. We typically see a little bit more organized electron contents when we see higher levels of electron flux. So things looking a little bit more normal here in terms of the total electron content. Most GPS errors located around the equator around noontime. Next, our latest intensitygram and latest magnetogram. And what's up with this sunspot? It's degraded a little bit since we did show prep. It remains a beta gamma class sunspot group, barely. And let's take a look at this group up here, since there seems to be some trailing umbrae. There you go. I think that's a separate sunspot group there, folks. That should be 2153 or 2154. So a tiny little uptick there in solar activity. Will it continue? Let us know in the comments what you think. And let's bring up some more images here from SDO before we get to the realm of meteorology. And of course, we've got some fascinating meteorological forecasts once again, as some heavy weather has been hitting the U.S. So there's yesterday plus today, some fantastic composite imagery there from SDO. 211, 304, and 171 angstroms. Now we're going to do it, and when I say it, I mean meteorology, because, hey, we might as well throw in some bonuses for our friends and foes across the internet. First thing we're doing today is some wave chasing. I'm a wave chaser. The world's largest waves are currently in the North Atlantic, some nearly 30-footers there, to the southeast of Greenland. Also some big waves there near Siberia. And some in the North Pacific. And of course, some around the Southern Ocean because, hey, Southern Ocean has a tendency to be a little bit violent. And here are the surface winds of the eastern world. Here are the jet streams of the eastern world. And if you had to pick only one global weather pattern to forecast global weather, the jet stream would be the one to use, in my opinion. There's the 250 hectopascal winds over the Americas, the western world. 250 hectopascal winds tracking the jet stream. And there is the surface wind scenario for this side of the planet. Very windy over the Great Lakes at the moment. Surface winds of the central world, like Africa, Europe, and the Middle East, looking like this. And there are the jet streams of the of the central world. And let's get into some additional data. By the way, consider becoming a member of the Smash team if you'd like to see the videos continue to exist, remain publicly visible, and free for all to view. It's only the most comprehensive space weather content that you'll find anywhere in the world. Also the most detailed imagery of the sun. Check out our playlists, by the way, if you haven't seen those. youtube.com/smashamash/playlists. You'll find smashamash.org presents the sun. You can find our links on the Smash Team page, by the way. And if you've never logged in before, just click posts from smashamash.com/smashteam. There are some posts there for those who are not even logged in at a level. There is a bronze, there's a silver, there's a gold, there's even a gold annual paid-up subscription, which includes some complimentary merch. That is the best value here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Support us that way if you like. We replace Patreon with a superior site, although we are still on Patreon. And press like, subscribe, share, etc. if you are enjoying the content on YouTube. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists despite the pathetic, putrid, and disgusting censorship over the past 5+ years. Facts. They've become controversial as of March 2020. Facts. They're very problematic. Oh, noes. Watch out, folks. There's facts. Oh, noes. Facts. Careful, folks. Facts. Speaking of facts, there's what's going on over Kilauea. And let's zoom back out and take a look at how about the sunrise over the Atlantic? So there you go. There's what's going on over the western world from the visible satellite's perspective. And of course, NASA continues to try to prove to people that the planet is spherical, when of course everybody that views our channel is well aware that Earth is shaped like a croissant. Croissant Earth. Stop believing NASA's lies. Next, our weather.gov map, and we've got some severe weather warnings there across most of Alabama. Some tornado watches there, some severe thunderstorm watches, some flood watches. If your county's lit, click your county from weather.gov. We'll scroll down briefly to show you the key. Again, weather.gov is the location. Some blizzard warnings there in southeastern Wyoming, and some winter storm warnings over the Upper Peninsula. Again, if your county's lit, click your county. It's too much information to go over, and let's do a snow forecast. This is the 72-hour GFS positive snow depth change forecast in inches, and check it out. They're going to be getting over 3 feet of snow in portions of California. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and it's just pushing December. I mean, December doesn't start until tomorrow. Winter doesn't start until over 2 weeks after that. And yowzers, actually about 3 weeks after that. Some heavy blanketing over portions of the Pacific Northwest. So that's your snow depth change forecast for the GFS model for 72 hours. Here's a 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. And look at that heavy snow making its way down through California. Yowzers. Shout out to Smash Staff's mom. It's dag feet of snow once again, especially north of your vicinity, but all around the eastern portion of California. Getting buried. Places put 3+ feet of snow in many spots expected there, and it's probably going to be a wet snow as we've got rain nearby. Continuing on to look at precipitation type. And we'll just advance this because this is the European model, by the way. It's going to show you precipitation type and pressure. The high pressure dome here moving across Illinois. As the snow falls and falls and falls in the northwestern part of the U.S. System finally here moving to the east. And by Saturday, things will be clearing up every place except for Minnesota and Wisconsin. There's where the European model puts precipitation type and pressure. Saturday at noon. That's noon Eastern time, by the way. Great Lakes will be having the snow. And check out the extreme lightning. Extreme lightning here in the southeastern portion of the U.S. Huge bands of violent thunderstorms happening there. And I believe we have some terrestrial strikes to report. So we've headed to lightningmaps.org, and there is definitely thunder rolling in a lot of places. All the way from Nolens to Augusta, Georgia. Severe thunderstorms there around Gulfport, Biloxi, Pascagoula, Mobile. There's thunder rolling in. Just a huge band of thunderstorms there. Pensacola, there's thunder rolling in. Lots of fresh lightning strikes happening there as we stream. Fort Rucker. I never heard of it. Fort Benning, Columbus. Lots and lots of thunder rolling in. Some violent weather there. Check weather.gov for your alerts. There are some severe thunderstorm alerts. So next, looking at the U.S. Doppler Radar. There's the full 50 states of ALSA, the allegedly United States of America, and we're going to zoom in at this extreme weather. Yowzers. That is quite a front there, and some areas are going to get hit repeatedly due to the shape and motion of that system. Charleston, you're in the crosshairs. Also Savannah and Jacksonville. Also Wilmington. You get the idea. There's a lower 48 view. And whoops, pardon the black screen. Our animation timed out. That's what happens when there's so much awesome stuff to cover. So there's the clouds and fog view over a mostly dark U.S. And there is the water vapor map. You can see this pincer motion happening here. Huge pressure gradient being created as this low is sandwiched between two modes of high pressure. As dry air is more massive than moist air at a given pressure and temperature. That should clear things up as that air slowly moves that system almost due east. Here's your recap, the U.S. Doppler Radar. Shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog. And we'll close things out with the water vapor. And that is where we'll have to end today's daily space weather content. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Once again, thanks for tuning in. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, and may that solar wind be at your back.